Gordon Ryan has a huge announcement. He's signed to one championship. What does this mean? Will we see him fight MMA? Probably not for a long time. But he's focusing on that now, right? Well, he said his main focus is still ADCC 2022, so doesn't seem likely that he'd have an MMA fight, let alone start training MMA before that. So this big announcement is probably just going to be big for Gordon Ryan's wallet. We don't know how much this deal is worth, but Gordon even mentioned how Chatri took the time to talk to him personally about the signing. And usually the head of the company only really gets involved in the huge payday, big revenue signings. If you're one championship, you're just taking a calculated gamble. If Gordon eventually does transition to MMA, you've got him locked up and that debut will happen there. If he never fights a single MMA fight, well, you've got him rostered and can put on BJJ shows, sort of like how one currently puts on Muay Thai shows. Like I said, I don't know how much Gordon is making from this deal, and I don't know how much Gordon makes from Who's Number One / Flow Grappling when he does these super fights, but I'd imagine one would be willing to match or beat what Flow is paying him. And they'll be flying him out to Asia since that's where all of the one championship events are. Another unknown about this is when that first jiu-jitsu show might even be. We know Gordon is fighting Wagner Raka this weekend at Who's Number One, but one didn't make any other announcements about matchups or future events. And as far as I can tell, Gordon isn't booked for anything after this weekend. So this huge, mega, spectacular announcement, it's not that huge, at least for right now. I do think that Gordon eventually will fight in MMA, and I think one championship would put him on a similar career path as Gary Tonin, who signed to one back in 2017. Gary is 6-0 in MMA, and all of his fights have been under the one championship banner, and one has been slowly building him up over time. I doubt if Gordon moved to MMA, they'd match him up with a killer or someone capable of knocking him out. They'd have him fight somebody they're confident he'll take down and submit quickly, just like Gary Tonin has done. Now, to look way down the road, Buchecha is also signed to one championship, and he's focusing full-time on MMA. He's had a bunch of fights scheduled, but they've fallen through before they've ever happened. Gordon has a win over Buchecha in jiu-jitsu, so maybe one day they fight in MMA, but that's probably 3 to 4 years away at best. Maybe slapping Galvo has Gordon feeling feisty for a fight. I guess we'll have to wait and see. What I think will happen next is Gordon does these yet-to-be-announced grappling events for one championship while still doing events for Who's Number One and Flow Grappling, and he'll just stack up a bunch of money from both sides, and then he'll reassess what he wants to do after ADCC. And just as a side note, I know some people really dislike Flow Grappling, and to me, they're fine. Yeah, their paywall is annoying for even the most basic stuff, but they do have really good content. That being said, if one does start putting on rival shows, I'm all about that. If we have events on Flow, Submission Underground on Fight Pass, and now the potential of one championship in the mix, that can only be good for the sport, and it's just more events to watch. So maybe this is a huge announcement. If after ADCC, Gordon switches to MMA and he spends the next year and a half doing tons of super fights for both sides and racks up wins and tons of money, and it's super entertaining for us to watch, I'll count that as a win. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Let me know in the comments who you'd want to see Gordon fight first if he did go to MMA. And while you're down in the comments, why not make sure you're subscribed to the channel? Thanks everyone. I'll see you in the next video.